Okay, let's do this one last time, yeah?
Animation has existed as a storytelling medium since the 1900s. In 1937, Snow White and the Dwarfs brought about a renaissance for animation, proving that for the first time, animated films could sustain complex narratives and emotional depth. And ever since then, the medium has continued to evolve and thrive. And yet, animated films and shows often tend to be overlooked or swept under the rug as children's media, which I feel is not only inaccurate but deeply disrespectful to the art form itself. Welcome everyone. This is the Milestoner, and today we are looking at what can genuinely be considered the richest form of storytelling, animation, and how it manages to achieve things that even live action often cannot. Before we begin, do tell me your thoughts on this topic in the comment section. Let's have a lively discussion. This is a topic that I'm very interested to hear what everyone has to say. And with that, let's get into it. Now, storytelling is not limited to characters and plot alone. It involves themes, emotions, visual language, and characterization. And this is precisely where animation excels. Let's take a simple comparison: the live action version of The Lion King versus the animated Lion King.
Long live the king.
Long live the king!
Which of these scenes evokes stronger emotion? Which one makes the betrayal hit harder? Obviously, the animated version. Because in animation, emotions are actually shown on the characters' faces. In live action, obviously, the lions are not going to emote as well as humans do, but it is properly shown in animation. Another example lies in Spider Man Across the Spider Verse. Look at this scene. Do you see how the colors in the background change with the character's emotions? This is something that is extremely difficult to achieve in live action. Animation also enables far more effective long form storytelling. Live action faces two major obstacles when it comes to sustaining franchises or extended television narratives: budget constraints and actor limitations. Large scale live action projects like Avengers Endgame or the Star Wars series are astronomically expensive due to their heavy reliance on CGI, practical effects, and massive productions. If those elements fall short, the story suffers. Animation does not face this problem in the same way. Since everything is created from scratch, spectacle is not an additional expense but it is built into the story. Consider a film like Spirited Away, which is widely regarded as one of the greatest animated films ever made. It was produced on a budget of roughly 19 million. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse cost around 100 to 150 million. Compare that to Avengers Endgame, which was almost a 400 million budget. And then there's the issue of actors aging out of their roles. Long form live action storytelling struggles to maintain consistency when the performers are aging faster than the characters. Stranger Things heavily suffered from this problem in the later seasons, and shows like the new Percy Jackson and the Olympians or the live action Avatar The Last Airbender are beginning to encounter similar issues. Animation does not face this problem because the characters are drawn and sketched by hand. Their age, appearance, and physicality remains consistent for as long as the story demands. The storytelling's quality itself is another area where animation consistently outperforms live action. Take a show like Gravity Falls, for example. It is a show made for kids, yes, but beneath that lies intricate world building, layered mysteries, carefully planted foreshadowing, and genuinely shocking twists. And these are often executed way better than many adult oriented live action series. The same applies to anime. Japan has long perfected animated storytelling, and some of the most complex narratives ever exist within that medium. Attack on Titan explores themes of war, prejudice, nationalism with a depth that would be extraordinarily difficult to translate into live action. Chainsaw Man uses chaotic animation, abrupt cuts, and tonal whiplash to reflect a world which is defined by violence and emotional emptiness. Studio Ghibli films like Spirited Away and Grave of Fireflies tackle themes of death, war, and destruction with haunting subtlety. And films like Perfect Blue are so meticulously crafted that Hollywood has repeatedly borrowed and you can say even copied many aspects of these stories. Animation has also proven to be one of the most effective mediums for delivering meaningful life lessons without feeling preachy. Studios like Pixar, DreamWorks, and Disney have mastered this. Inside Out addresses emotional and mental health. Kung Fu Panda explores self acceptance. Finding Nemo deals with parenting and letting go. Zootopia confronts prejudice and systematic bias. One of my favorite scenes in all of cinema comes from Up, the opening montage of Carl and Ellie's life together. It is almost entirely wordless, just portrayed through the animation on screen. Yet it conveys love, loss, regret more powerfully than any live action film manages in 2 hours. The animation simply offers greater scope, freedom, and consistency. The definitive portrayal of the Avengers remains in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. No live action DC film, aside from The Dark Knight, comes close to the storytelling quality of DC animated films. Under the Red Hood, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox, these are all extremely well made DC films and they're all animated. And this brings me to one of my least favorite trends in modern cinema: live action remakes of any animated media. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that adapting stories onto the big screen is bad. No. Adapting a story from a book or game into live action is an effective way of getting the story to a wider audience. Not everyone is going to read the entire Harry Potter series or spend money and play through the entirety of Last of Us. So adapting those stories into live action is a good idea, although the eventual quality of the adaptations is debatable. However, when someone decides to adapt an animated show or movie into live action, it sends a completely different message. It implies that animation itself is inferior, the media is inferior to live action, and that a story only becomes legitimate once it is moved away from the animated form. And that is extremely disrespectful to this form of storytelling. Now, if you are remaking old films from the 1930s like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs or Cinderella, that is understandable. But when relatively recent works like Moana, How to Train Your Dragon, or the Avatar The Last Airbender show are remade, the intent becomes extremely obvious. Animation deserves all the respect because it does not just limit storytelling, it expands it to a greater extent. And this influence is spreading globally. China's Neza and Neza 2 became massive cultural successes. In 2025, India made Mahavatar Narsimha, which was able to portray stories from Indian mythology onto the big screen, something that was once thought to be very difficult. To this day, the best adaptation of the Ramayana remains Ramayana, the Legend of Prince Ram. And that says a lot. This is a media that should not be dismissed as just children's media. It should be respected as one of the most powerful storytelling tools ever created. Well, so those were my thoughts on animation and why it deserves far more recognition than it currently receives. But do tell me your thoughts and whether you agree with my takes. If you enjoyed the video, do like, share and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos like this.